Good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in this amazing morning right here on Women Radio WFM 91.7. This is Nigeria's first radio station for women and their families, and it's about 8 minutes after 9. I hope your day is starting up well. I hope you're feeling great today on this amazing day and this new week of what's only the first week of December. Hey God, December have come like this, like play. Well, it's all good. It's all good. All right, my name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser, and you're welcome to the program Panorama, where we have ladies from different geopolitical zones coming together to dissect, discuss, and disagree on topical issues. All right, and Panorama comes to you Mondays through Fridays from 9:05 a.m. to about 10 a.m., where we get to discuss topical issues right here with ladies from different geopolitical zones. All right, to be a part of the program this morning, you can dial 07000 917 917. Send us a text or a WhatsApp message 070 You can also go ahead and log on to our website www.wfm917.com. Follow us on our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, X, and of course YouTube at wfm917.com. You can also go ahead and let us know your thoughts, okay? Through text message, WhatsApp messages. Of course, we're here for all of it. All right, so on Panorama today, we have our ladies with us this morning. We have Buki Femi Ajala. Good morning, Buki. How have you been? How's the weekend for you?
Oh, yes, I want to thank God. Good morning, everyone, Panorama family. Rose.
Hello, Buki, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me as well? Can you hear me as well? I can hear you.
Okay, I can't seem to hear Buki. I'm guessing it's from this end because I can't seem to hear her, but I'm sure she can hear me. So let's see what can be done about this. All right, so this is Women Radio WFM 91.7. Let's try Ibinabo. Ibinabo, good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning, Rose. I can hear you.
All right. The lesson I mean, they hear them. All right. Let's see what we can do about this morning. All right. This is Women Radio WFM 91.7, and of course, this is a panorama right here on Women Radio WFM 91.7. All right. So let's try to see how we can sort all of this out, because it seems as if I'm the one that can hear. Okay. So which means it's probably from this end. Okay. All right. We'll try to rectify that. Well, this is Panorama, where we have ladies from different geopolitical zones come together to dissect, discuss, and disagree on the topical issues right here on Women Radio WFM 91.7. Okay, so we have a lot of things to talk about this morning. Yesterday was the International Day for people living with disabilities. Yes, it was a day yesterday. 3rd December was that day to create awareness, to talk about some of the issues. And when you talk about issues of international, of people living with disabilities, you know, there's the issue of inclusion. I think that's one of the things that we have been talking about, both within the country and even outside the country. These are one of the things that we've been talking about, as regards to people living with disabilities. So, but we'll get to talk about this with the ladies this morning, and so many other things that we will talk about this morning. We have lined up for you on the program a panorama, just as we try to rectify the issues we have with them this morning. So I think we'll just try to see what can be done about this. Buki, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Oh, okay. Yes, I can hear you. How's the weekend, Buki?
Oh, yeah, the weekend was lovely. I want to thank God for that. Yeah. So maybe Binabo should log out and join back, because that was what I did. All right. So
okay, Ibinabo, can you hear me, or do you have to maybe log out and come back?
I can hear you. I can hear you clearly. I can hear Buki.
Okay. Yes, great. All right, thank you all so much. So how's the weekend for you, Buki? Let's start with you.
Yeah, it was lovely. I want to thank God for that. Yeah, I mean, it was good. Just entering into December, and then the reality of, in the next few days, you will be celebrating Christmas, and then, close up to it will be New Year, and before you know what is happening, we'll now be saying, Happy New Year. So it was more like a reality. This thing is dawning on you now that, hey, and it's time to take an evaluation to say, okay, what did I do well? What did I do well? And what are the things I need to do? So it's not an issue of beating myself, but hey,
Okay.
address the gaps and saying, okay, so why didn't you do those things? Are they things that have to do with me that probably I was lazy about it and I was just expecting one miracle to happen and all that? But it was really nice. It was really nice.
Okay.
Thank God for it. But once again, I want to say good morning, Panorama family.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much, Buki, for that. Ibinabo, let's hear from you. How are you? How's the weekend for you?
Okay, I'm very well, thank you, Rose. Good morning, Buki Efe. Good morning to all our listeners. Yeah, weekend was beautiful. And it was beautiful because I had two very fantastic, should I say, outing occasion, celebration, or what? There was a wedding I attended, the wedding of a friend's son. A beautiful jewel, a very nice lady. And the wedding was fantastic. So let me seize the opportunity to wish Olawale Ajiboye and his beautiful wife happy married life. And here we are. Thank you.
Hello, Ibinabo.
I can hear you.
Just went off for a minute or two. All right, thank you so much for that, Ibinabo. And well, hopefully we get to have a great week ahead for this week, and we get to celebrate all our festivities in, with all that we can afford to get, because a lot of people right now, that's the fear in their minds. All right, so let's head on straight. Now, before we're able to rectify me not being able to hear, I was talking about the International Day of People Living with Disability, which was yesterday, the 3rd of December. Now, a lot of the issues that we know that we keep talking about on people living with disabilities is the issue of inclusion in every aspect of our society, every aspect of life. And for this year, the theme for this year says United in Action to Rescue and Achieve the Sustainable Development Goals for, with, and by people with disabilities. And when you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, it's all about inclusion. It's all about making the world better for people living with disabilities, making the world fairer for people living with disabilities, coming together to see that we accept each other the way we all are, at the end of the day. And Obi, that was Peter Obi, now talking about the Labour presidential candidate for the last election, has called for a better support for fellow citizens living with disabilities as Nigerian joins the world to mark the International Day of Persons Living with Disabilities. All right, so he goes on to say that he's demanding a better nation for those as fellow compatriots living with disabilities, not by their making. Living with a disability should not be a death sentence or society stigmatization, but should be a platform that calls up the humanity in us as their brothers and sisters. So there have been a lot of calls also from different organizations, from different individuals, calling for a more inclusive society, calling for our society to accept everybody, remove the stigmatization out of our society, and accept us all. In our workplaces, organizations, federal governments, parastatals, how do we get to accept people living with disabilities? How do we get to accept them? How do we get to employ them? Do we employ them enough? Do we include them in, budgetary allocations? Do we include them in thoughts? Do we include them in some of the little things that we do every day of our lives? So I would like to hear your thoughts on this. Buki, let's start with you on the International Day of People living with disabilities, or persons living with disabilities.
Okay, yeah. So we celebrate them. They've been vocal, vocal in the sense that they've been advocating, and people are becoming to know that yes, they also have a right. Up until then, in fact, some of the parents or guardians would just keep them aside or put them in the home, lock the door and go out. I mean, quite a lot of stories that we've had. But thank God that, they found their voice and they've been talking, and I mean, they have it all put together. At least I was opportuned, to meet with them, during COVID. And I mean, I can talk of Lagos State, well structured organization as at then, and I hope it has improved. But then I was impressed. I mean, it was my first time of, coming in contact at a close range, with them, well structured foundation and all that. So, yeah, we cannot but keep talking about it. And thankfully, now the whole world is talking about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So it's not even just about the persons living with disability, but it's a more global outlook. And this goes to say that wherever we are, be it in the community, in the society, in the organization, wherever you find yourself as human being, they are also included. They have rights. They are human beings. The only thing is they have a disability in one way or the other, probably with their sight, with their hearing, probably the color. You're talking about the albino, I mean, but in terms of brain, they have it. What you can do, they also can do it. And in fact, there are some aspects that they're even much better. So they are not to be relegated. They are not to be discarded. They are not to be looked down. They are not to be. They don't need our sympathy, so to say, because they want us to treat them, in a respectable manner. Yes, you can help, but not that they are too weak to do anything. You'll be amazed. And I'm happy that I think in November, Tinubu was able to, the government of Tinubu, or should I say President Tinubu, was able to appoint one as the SSC, I think it's Mohammed Musa, if I can remember. But that was after a lot of clarion call, a lot of NGOs stood up, to say they must actually have maybe about 5% representation. I think right now, if my numbers are correct, I think we have close to between 25 and 30 million of them in Nigeria. Different aids. And when we're talking about this just for education purposes, we're not just talking about those who are just deaf, if I could use that word for clarity, but anyone living with disability, even to, and then there's one they call intellectual disability and all this. They all have all kinds of names, but anyone living with disability is included. And in wrapping up, they are to be respected. They have to be given their rights. They're supposed to be given their privileges. If that disability is not hindering, the work, yes, you should give it to them. I've seen organizations that you'll find that a percentage, it might be a number, not necessarily a percentage, they give it to them, call operators, things that they know, yes, that's, in fact, I even have, a contact with somebody, who could actually write so well, even with the disability, and hey, he's blogging and things like that. So the importance of we celebrating them is for everyone to be aware. Number one, to be aware, and then of course give them the opportunity and also include them in everything that we are doing. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Buki, for giving. Okay, thank you so much, Buki, for giving us your thoughts on that this morning. All right, Ibinabo, let's come to you. Persons living with disabilities, what's your thoughts on, inclusion? Because Buki has also mentioned, that. So what's your thoughts on inclusion, and what's your thoughts on where we are as a nation as regards persons living with disabilities?
Okay, thank you very much, Rose. Let's look at it this. Now, persons living with disability, according to WHO statistics, in Nigeria, we have about 35 million Nigerians living with disabilities. And I tell you, that is huge. That is about 18% of the population. Also, my worry again is, where are they mostly concentrated? Are they in the urban areas or they are in the rural areas? Because we live in a country where we have a scarcity of development in our rural areas. Only a few of our governors are, extending development to their rural areas, to the rural areas in their state. So if we have 35 million Nigerians living with disabilities, various forms of disabilities, that's is a lot. That's about 18%. Between 18 and 19% of our population, which is huge. So whatever government is going to be doing, they have to always include the interests of persons living with disabilities. Now, for me, there is need for continued community awareness. There's need for more understanding and acceptance of persons living with disabilities. Like Buki said, they don't need our sympathy. What they need is the care. Care is different than sympathy. Sympathy, oh, sorry, you'll take 10 naira. No. When you care for someone, you begin to look at how you can help this person holistically, not just something for the moment, take 10 naira and go and get something to eat. No. What am I saying? I'm looking at our government when it comes to construction of roads and other infrastructures. These are the responsibilities of government. So let's take, for instance, when we talk about roads, you understand, when constructing a road, you have to consider persons living with disability, whether they are visually impaired, whether it's the hearing, or whether in any form of, whatever form of disability they have. This group of persons, their needs should be factored into whatever we are doing as a government. For instance, when you're constructing a road, sidewalk ramps should be put in the master plan, so that you have a form of an accessible curb ramp that will help people with disability or mobility impairment, those who are probably are going on a wheelchair or something, to transition from a curb sidewalk to a roadway, and doing that safely. Sometimes you go to some places, you're on the sidewalk, even you that you have no disability, maybe you have no mobility impairment, to exit or to transition from this sidewalk to the ground is a big task. So you can imagine how how very difficult it would be for someone who has mobility impairment. So, but I want to give it to. I'm not very familiar with some other states, but I will talk about Lagos State, and I'm already seeing it in some parts of Ogun State, that while constructing or reconstructing a road, they have factored in the ease of mobility for persons living with disabilities. Yes, they have this ramped curbs that you can, as you are exiting it, it is slopey, so that you just gradually come down from it, which is very thoughtful. And if we are looking at schools, how many schools do we have for disabled children living with disability? If you talk about the school for the visually impaired, how many do we have? If you talk about schools for those who have who suffer from Down syndrome, those who have learning disability, those who have they are very slow at understanding. There are this category is, if you begin to break it down, is quite huge. How many schools have been provided for children living with disabilities, various forms of disability? How many schools do we have? I used to know of a partially school for the blind in Lagos State. I used to know a particular school for the deaf and dumb, those who can, and there are other schools that should be established for these persons. We don't just have to have one, so that when you go into these schools, you have too many of them in a classroom. And how many teachers are being trained to teach these children who are living with disabilities? How do we encourage them? Because they will tell you, that is an extra work. So they should be well remunerated to be encouraged to go into that profession. It is one thing being a teacher, it's another thing being a teacher to, children with disabilities. Because that teacher needs a special training. So there are so many things that we expect from the government in terms of schools, in terms of, I've talked about the road. It has been stated that they should be given 5% job opportunities.
Yeah.
But when I saw it, I asked myself that, where are the job opportunities anyway for everyone, let alone, having to carve out 5% for persons with disabilities? So these are the things that government and organizations must look into. Because, when the essential tools for these persons are not available, then they are highly encouraged. They're not asking or begging you for money. There is need for even personal development. Where are the avenues for that? Because even persons who can hop here and there, persons without disability or differently abled, are not getting anything. So you mentioned, I don't know where it was, you Rose or Book, you mentioned I think it was Book, you mentioned the fact that Mr. President, after a whole lot of appeals and agitations from persons living with disabilities, then someone was appointed. But I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at, is it impossible to do we say we don't, are we saying that we don't have capable hands to man ministries, irrespective of the fact that they are differently abled? Because I looked at the list of all of the appointments and I realized that they are all, none of them has any form of disability. So are we saying that if a person is visually impaired, then he or she does not deserve to be a minister or will not perform? Because we have had, quote unquote, able-bodied ministers who have not even performed. We are seeing where we are today is like yesterday. So what are we talking about? So I want to advise that our leaders should always consider these persons.
Okay.
Because they are Nigerians. I'm not saying you should go and pick someone who is not educated because you want to make sure that you run an inclusive government. No, we have very well-educated persons living with disabilities. They are well-educated, they are capable. In fact, most of them are problem solvers because they already have issues.
Sure.
So they know how to approach problems and solve problems. So I want to advise that, Mr. President, there will be changes in the course of time. I don't know, I'm just assuming. You need to consider bringing on board his government persons living with disabilities who are capable, who have proven themselves in their various fields.
Okay.
And also the community. How do we relate with these persons? How do we react towards them? They're not beggars. They just need to be respected, and there should be inclusivity in whatever we are doing in the community. They should be part of the community. They are part of the community, so they should be part of the leadership of the community. So with all of this, if we begin to factor all of this into whatever we are doing, I don't think they will come up with any form of agitations like this.
All right.
So I hope that this reminder would really, I hope it has come to stay. I hope that it's not an annual thing, that it is when it is the day for people living with disabilities will begin to talk about it, and the government will remember that, okay, they have such persons in the community. There are about 35 million Nigerians who are living with disabilities, different disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you too, Ibinabo, for giving us your thoughts on this. And I like the fact that you mentioned that hopefully this is not just an annual thing, but it's something that we keep thinking about. It's something that we keep putting into consideration when, rolling out policies, when bringing out, budgets, when building infrastructures, bring in all of this. In the former place where I was before I came here, I had this visually impaired man that would come in for programs, and then he was working in the university. He was a lecturer. At the same time, he was doing some other things for the government there. So that actually inspired me. And he actually made me understand that, we are much more than this. We can actually do a lot more, even with our disabilities. And that's why I began to open my eyes to a lot of things that people living with disabilities can actually do and achieve, even with, the kind of disabilities. After all, every person that we know has one form of disability or the other. Nobody is 100% complete. There must be something that you yourself are lacking, even as you tend to see yourself as a very complete person. But I just hope that we keep talking about these issues. We keep talking about the inclusivity that we need. We keep talking about, the stigmatization that we need to work on as a society, and the support that they actually need. Like, the lady said this morning, they don't need you to say, yeah. That's not what they need. Just support them and give them the room, give them the space to actually become who they want to really become. And I think we'll be getting somewhere. We'll be getting ahead in our society. So thank you so much, ladies, for giving us your 2 cents on the International Day of Persons Living with Disabilities. This is Women Radio. Ibinabo, you want to say something?
I just remember that when I was thinking about the day for persons living with disabilities, my mind quickly went to May this year. Oh no, not May, February, March, when we had our elections. And it happened that I monitored some polling units, and there was no provision for, in terms of voters card for persons, those who are visually impaired. So the 1 or 2 persons that came there to vote was assisted. So the person, one is not sure whether the person would have voted for his or her choice of candidates. You understand? Because they were not factored into whatever INEC was doing when they were trying to come up with the voters card. So all of these things, they need to look at it so that and we shouldn't forget, Rose. Yeah. Women with disabilities.
True. Very true.
They experience double discrimination, which this makes them more vulnerable and more susceptible to greater risk. Already, those who are full-bodied or whatever we're going to call them are already endangered. Then you can imagine a lady or a girl or a woman with disabilities. They are faced with sexual abuse, maltreatment, neglect, and all of that. And I've seen a lot of them. They are mostly sexually abused. There is a particular lady who, she's homeless. She has I think it has to do with something has to do with mental, cognitive problem. And this lady does not have a place to stay. She stays in front of shops. She sleeps there overnight. And nothing has been done. And obviously, she would be sexually harassed or abused on a regular basis. So the government should please put a stop to paying lip service to assisting persons living with disabilities. They should please. I have a friend, Rose, please, she wasn't born like that. So if you think that, oh, you are free, you are complete and everything, let's think about tomorrow. My friend was not born without her lower limbs, but due to some health issues, her two lower limbs were amputated. Now she works on prosthesis. She didn't plan for it. Her parents never planned for it. So you see, the government and the people, we need to work together to make sure that life becomes a bit easier for these persons. Thank you.
All right, thank you too, Binabo, for adding that. All right, let's get your thoughts. Let's get your reactions to what we're looking at this morning on 07000 917 917. Send us a text or a WhatsApp message to 070 317 56537. All right, do want to call us up on 07000 917 917. This is Panorama right here on Women Radio WFM 91.7. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser, and of course, we are looking at different issues this morning. All right, so let's quickly look at this particular issue about the 2024 budget of ex-presidents, former VPs, and others getting 13.8 billion naira upkeep allowance. All right, so just like the name implies, what they're trying to say here is that former Nigerian leaders are expected to benefit from this 13.8 billion naira upkeep allowance. So we're looking at President Olusegun Obasanjo, to Goodluck Jonathan, to Muhammadu Buhari, to ex-vice president. We're looking at Atiku Abubakar, Namadi Sambo, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, ex-military heads of state, General Yakubu Gowon, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, as well as former former military president General Ibrahim Babangida, and so many others who are going to be part of this 13.8 billion naira for upkeep. I don't know why I keep repeating the upkeep, but for upkeep. So I mean, we are in a time where we are looking for every necessary funds right now to keep the country going. All right, we're looking for anything that we can put together just to see that this country keeps moving forward. And then here we are, 13.8 billion naira, for the upkeep of ex-presidents and former VPs. Let's quickly get your thoughts on this, Buki. Let's start with you.
Okay, so this is what I have to say. The amount that had been petitioned or budgeted for these people, I mean, by policy, there is nothing we can do about that. It's except you go back and change the policy. Yes, they also have a right to say, I know by law you're supposed to give me this, but I don't want this. Or they channel that,
Okay.
Give charity and things. And we've seen a couple of ex-presidents as well. They will say that fund should go, to this, and they'll be specific about it, because by law they're supposed to, except where we change the laws or we change the policies, which I think that is the way to go. They need to review it in light of what is happening. There is no rationale now. I mean, that you want to change cars every three years, and it's not just one. I mean, but I think it's about two. There's no rationale, in saying that your medical allowances. Some of them, if you want to do foreign trips, you should. I mean, you should review those things. So for me, I'm advocating that we can talk about it from morning till night. Nothing will happen except with the laws, except to change the policies. However, we can also expect that some of them that want to flow with what is happening in the country, can actually divert that money and say, okay, this money, I mean, channel it to this, But we know some of them that will take it that, after all, I've worked for it. And,
of course.
But hey, let's look at it. I expect people to be sensitive. But for me, looking at the budget, we're talking about 27.5 trillion, which has increased from 21 for 2022. For me, it's more of how will the administration of Tinubu, generate that revenue. I give it to him that they've been able to make a budget to double the revenue, because the revenue for last year was about 9 trillion. Now he's saying he's projecting 18, so times two. I have not done a detailed study of where that 18 trillion will come from. You understand? And how. Yes, I know where it's coming from, but how? How would you double this? I mean, if he does that, that will be great, really, really great. Yes, we still end up with about 9 trillion loss, but these are budgets. The question is, how would they be prudential, in doing these things? They are quick to spend, because they have budgeted expenditure. And I think that is why people are making, eyes on these trillions, on this billion rather, that have been aside, for past presidents and things like that. And then for those who would be leaving, in 2024, they have to budget for them as well, the farm sex and things like that they have to budget and all that, but bottom line is, hey, we are looking for someone who is going to increase our revenue so that the statistics is high, increase our revenue. And honestly, if we can curtail expenditure in terms of consumption, yes, in terms of capital projects, we need it. We need it to build roads, infrastructures, and things like that, human capital and that. But for consumption, no. So for me, it's more of that side that I'm looking at for. I'm not so much bothered about how much they carve out for this thing, because it's by law, except we change the law and policies and talk about it. Maybe somewhere along the line, all these people will come. I mean, it's something that all the ex-presidents can actually come back to say, let's listen to these things. Can we begin to make, do the process of changing? Or they can actually say, all this funds, just put it into a particular fund, and then there will be somebody to administer it, and then we can use it to build schools, to build hospitals, and whatever. They can actually do it even on their own. You understand?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Buki. So, Ibinabo, let's quickly hear your thoughts on this.
Okay, thank you. Of course, I definitely align with all that Buki to that. I want to say that our leaders, just like she rightly said, our leaders should please and please and please, whether present or past leaders, they should not forget that there is something that is called history. How do you want to be remembered? Now, when she was giving a submission, she made mention of Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was not a Nigerian, he was a South African. But there were so many things he did that history is so kind to him. History cannot forget him in a hurry. Not because he was bad, but because he was a great leader. Now, I'm joining my voice to that of Buki to appeal to the conscience of past leaders. We are calling upon their charitableness, their magnanimity of spirit. How about coming together and saying that, okay, all of these funds that are accrued to us, please, we want a project like this. And they will be remembered by that project. So you see, when we talk about, sometimes when I look at this and I just tell myself that, okay, you were president for 4 years, or at most you were president for 8 years, and you're going to be paid such an amount of money, such a humongous amount of money. It's not a problem. But what is happening to our pensioners? These are people who have served for the minimum of 10 years in various MDAs. And they still struggle to receive their gratuity. Their pensions are all...
All right, Sibinabo, let me just hold your thoughts on that. We have a call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, how am I?
Fine, thank you. How's yours too? I believe this is Ambassador Ambrose.
Is it Rose on the air?
Yes, it is.
How are you? How are you?
Fine, thank you. Oh, Chief Agozi, fine, thank you. Good morning.
Yeah. How do you manage to maneuver? So this is December, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in advance. I am greeting you.
Yes, thank you very much. I wish you the same.
Actually, it has been a while, and that was on Friday. I really wanted to reach. Where is it called? Book is telling me, you understand me? But the network really went about it. You understand?
Yeah.
You understand? I really love analyst. You understand? Is she there?
Yes, she is.
Great afternoon.
Happy December. Happy December, sir.
I knew quite well that you will not greet me because this is December. Because you knew that I'm going to ask of my Christmas. Maybe if not for Aatient, I will ask for a right. That is why you did not want to I'm fully back to you people now. You understand?
Nice.
Education is how are you?
Good morning, Chief Agozie.
Morning, it has been a while. This is about making another best news. You know what, you people are really, they are doing a beautiful job. You understand me? If you go in question, they are hearing what we are saying. They don't even have us in mind. They know why they are there. Now they don't even talk much about millions again. It's billion. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
You are telling me the people to exercise patience. Do they exercise patience? Are they exercising patience? Are they lacking? Are they suffering? Look at the kind of money they spend for cars and all that. The money they budget for themselves, for all this and that. You understand? So let us not deceive ourselves. You understand? So we have to still continue talking anyway. Let us continue talking.
Yeah.
You know, the people, they are happy. You understand? People are suffering. People could not feed now. People cannot feed. You understand me? People cannot even feed now. So the part of this is that I know by more talking like this, one day we'll be there. You understand? So that is what I could just randomly see. What about Esther? Esther?
Oh, Esther, she's on an official trip.
Okay. What a rose. God, my blessing. Greet all of them for me.
All right, Chief Agozie. Thank you so much. All right, thank you. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of the week. All right, Buki, let's quickly wrap up on this.
Okay, so I was trying to appeal to the conscience of former leaders in the spirit of humanity, the spirit of magnanimity, charitableness. We request that they at least do the needful. I mean, let me remember that at a certain time when Nigeria's economy was so bad, this group of persons gave up their allowances for the people. It will be remembered, it will go down in history. And also, I want to appeal to Mr. President. You know, I want to call him for his sagacity in the management of our resources. Apply a lot of good judgment in how we expend our resources because people are suffering. And sometimes, I mean, as a president, come up with some policies that will not just directly affect the ordinary man, but will affect everybody, because we all know that the budget allocated for all the political appointees and the elected officers are not affected. Nothing is being reduced. I mean, it doesn't show that spirit of magnanimity. It doesn't show that spirit of charitableness. At this time, we need it.
Okay.
We need it to remember this government. We need it to remember that when Nigeria was in a dungeon of economic crisis, we had the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who came up with, policies. The ordinary man, but equally affected clearly to the full glare and understanding of every Nigerian, the legislators, the political appointees, everybody, so that we will understand and appreciate the fact that he is in solidarity with us.
Okay.
In solidarity with us. They should give up some percentage of their allowances. They should cut down on cost of governance. These are what we have been talking about over and over and over. They should begin to attend to that. They should begin to listen to that and act upon that. Thank you.
All right, thank you to Buki for that. I sincerely appreciate both of you for coming on the program this morning and giving us your thoughts on these two issues, because at the end of the day, these are Nigerian issues that we have to keep talking about until we see, the Nigeria that we need and the Nigeria that we actually do deserve. Thank you so much, Ibinabo, for coming on, and thank you so much to Buki for coming on the program this morning.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
All right.
Thank you for having us. Let's have a beautiful day.
You too. Thank you. All right. So that's much we can take this morning on Panorama. Join us again tomorrow at 9:05, where we'll have the ladies come in and we talk about topical issues right here, where we get to dissect, discuss, and disagree on topical issues. My name is Rose Yusuf K. So do keep your dial locked to Women Radio. Coming up at 10 is Radio Doctor. At 11, we'll have SME Mart. And of course, at 12, we'll have news at 12. And at 12:05, we'll have the 16 days of activism come through, a responder story. All right, the first responder story come through at 12:05. My name is Rose Yusuf K. So do well to keep your dial locked to Women Radio WFM 91.7. Good morning.
To sponsor this program, call the number 0816 480 7613.